Hello everybody and welcome back to Nerf this patch. It's been a very eventful week. We see the Cyberpunk reviews have gone up, and you know, they were all over the place like we said before, but we're not here to talk about that. This is the week of the game of the year. We have our draft done, we have our picks made, and I'm really nervous about all of mine, and that's kind of what I want to dive into. So I'm going to start with this. There can be an argument made for any of the Game of the Year nominees to win, and there are strong arguments for all of them to lose. And there used to be this game that Game Trailers used to play, why it will win, why it won't win, and they don't exist anymore, so they're not going to care if I steal their format for this. But I wanted to take all the Game of the Year nominees, and I wanted to explain why I think a possibility why all six could win, and why they shouldn't win. And it's a pretty straightforward game. I don't want to make this more complicated than it is, and I just want to dive right into it. So let's start. I'm going to start by the order of how the games are presented, and we'll just see where it goes. Okay, why Animal Crossing will win Game of the Year? I think Animal Crossing has the strongest argument if all you're looking at is the year from the public standpoint. Obviously, this was a very crazy year with COVID and everything going on in the world, and Animal Crossing came out just at the right time where everything was starting to shut down, and it was really interesting how a lot of people who had never played games before, were never into it, were just all of a sudden like invested in this game. There were a lot of people who were so excited for this game all year, and it came at the perfect time, and it was one of the more memorable games of the year for the circumstances that we had. I think it's an excellent game. It is not my game. I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. It is a very fun game. It captivated everything perfect with the fact that you had to stay home and pump a bunch of hours into stuff that you weren't used to. I think on that argument alone, I could see it getting a lot of votes, and that's a good thing. I would not be upset if Animal Crossing won Game of the Year. I would not be upset. Just because it's not the kind of game that I love doesn't mean I don't understand why it wouldn't win, and I wouldn't support it winning. It was a very important game for all of us this year, and it came at the perfect time. Why it won't win? I don't think the quality is there. Animal Crossing is a fun game. I wouldn't really call it a masterpiece. Some would argue that it's barely a video game. There's really not much to play as much as there is to plan out and prepare and build. Compared to the other 5 games, there's really not a lot of game to this one. It is what it is, and that's fine, but I think it doesn't really do enough that's new or innovative to really warrant Game of the Year. It's not a memorable game that you play in the moment. It's memorable for the time that you put in, and I don't think that's really a strong enough argument to win Game of the Year. So my guess says that this could be like the greatest dark horse ever, and I wouldn't be upset, but I'm pretty sure this is not going to win Game of the Year. Why Doom Eternal will win Game of the Year? There's an error with the voting polls and somebody messes up. That's no disrespect to Doom Eternal, but its game's not that much different from the original Doom, and there's nothing really that special about this Doom game. It is just another Doom game. A lot of people say like, "Well, that's kind of critical, isn't it?" Like, no, like it is a good game. It is a solid game, and you know, Doom in 2016 held its own pretty well against its nominees that year. But the nominees this year are better, and Doom Eternal is just a very good game. The only off chance that it wins is that a lot of people are split votes, and PC gamers just kind of have their way with this game. But like I said, this game's not winning Game of the Year for a lot of reasons, and the biggest reason is that this may be the weakest nominee of all of them. It's a fine game. It's interesting how this game came out around the same time as Animal Crossing. I think it came out the same day, actually. And it was amazing how quickly it was on sale and how no one cared about it afterwards. And it's a shame, because it is a good game, but on that merit alone, nobody was talking about this game. It's not held its own as far as like leaving a stronger legacy for id Software to make more games. Like, it just seems, what's the best way to put it? It just seems there. It was one of the best games of the year, but it was definitely on the bottom half, and I don't see there's any chance. This would be my surefire pick that this would not be Game of the Year. It may win Best Action Game, maybe Best Soundtrack. That's pretty much it. Why Final Fantasy VII Remake will win Game of the Year? This was the biggest challenge for Square Enix, with a very divisive fan base, with a lot of people who really expected this game to fail, myself included, and they made something masterful with this game. This is one of my favorite games of the year, if not the favorite. Not the best, but I really enjoyed this game for what it was, and I did not expect the combat system to be as fun as much as I enjoyed it. Like, I did not expect that. I feel like it is one of the best looking games ever made. I feel like the promise for more games in the future kind of helps. And I think that this is Square Enix's best game since... this is their best Final Fantasy game since maybe Final Fantasy X. Like, it's that good. Why it won't win? It's a remake. I'm on this argument that remakes should never win Game of the Year. Never. Even when Resident Evil 2 came out, I was like, I don't know why this is here. It may be one of the best games made. Remakes should not be nominated for Game of the Year. A lot of people, like, it's the same argument of, like, people who watch football and are football fans, and they're like, teams with losing records don't belong in the playoffs. I feel the exact same way about games that are remakes. It's cool. They earned it. I don't think they need to be in this category. I mean, hell, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a category for Best Remake. So if Grand Theft Auto 5 or Last of Us Remastered is in Best Remake, why would it not be nominated here? Like, that's why I don't like that category, and that's why I don't want this to be here. Like, I love Final Fantasy VII Remake. Remakes don't deserve to win Game of the Year. I don't even know if they deserve to be nominated, but that's an argument unto itself. Am I glad that it got nominated? Yes and no. Personally, yes. The critical side of me says this should not have been nominated. Why Ghost of Tsushima will win Game of the Year? This is the fan choice. It actually just won most popular vote, and I just beat it this week. It is a very good game. It has a lot of cool new ideas. Visually, it is stunning. The open world is amazing. The combat is so much fun. And I feel like this game has, like, the people's choice. They want this one to win. It's different enough. It's the best open world game of the year, and that it needs like the recognition that it's been getting. Like, it kind of got screwed on when reviews came out, and I feel like the hype behind this game has actually grown since. And I understand why after beating it. It's a solid game. I would not be surprised if this won. But here's why I don't think it will win. It doesn't do enough new things. It is a very good open world game, but like I said in my review before this game, it's too Assassin's Creed-y for me. It's not special. It's special in different ways. Like, the gameplay is great, but not special. The world is special. I think the open world is the special part of it, and I think the story is just good enough to be a solid Game of the Year winner. Again, it's nothing special. It is very well done. But that's not enough to be Game of the Year, in my opinion. Why Hades will win Game of the Year? I think this is the indie darling that could pull it off. Of all the years that an indie game has been nominated for Game of the Year, this is the one time where I feel like this has the best chance to win. First of all, it is easily one of the best played games of the year as far as gameplay is concerned. This may be the best game as far as gameplay. Visually, it's stunning. The story is interesting, and I did not expect to get as invested as I was in it. I remember finding myself just coming back and playing it over and over. Even when I was, like, frustrated I died, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I lost at Hades, and I was like, fuck this. And then, like, 10 minutes later, I was like, all right, no, I want to go back. It's an addictive game. And the track record that the developer has, that they've made Transistor and Bastion, like, this could be the time where, you know, a lot of those people want to give Supermassive, or whatever their name, Supergiant, I don't forget their name, the credit that they have deserved in the past. This is my deep down prediction is what will probably win. Why it won't win? It's not been played enough by a lot of people. The gameplay is something that a lot of people don't really invest in. It's hard to invest in. Like, even I didn't buy it when it first came out because I saw the gameplay and I was like, I'm gonna suck at this and I don't really want to buy into this. A lot of people were asking about my opinions of the game because they weren't sure about buying it, and I feel like a lot of people are gonna be that way. Like, if it wins, then it'll sell even better. But I feel like people are kind of hesitant on this game, and the fact that not everybody played it is a shame. But that's probably my only argument why it won't win Game of the Year. It's got a lot of steep competition as well. I can't really think of a lot of arguments why it shouldn't outside of the next game, but if I had to pin it down, I would be like, it's not the most played game of the year. It got a lot of great reviews, so I think it will hold its own. It will win a bunch of awards, but that final trophy, I don't know if it's well known enough to really get all the votes it needs. Why Last of Us Part 2 will win Game of the Year? Because it was the best game of the year. No. This game will win Game of the Year because it was one of the biggest talk points of 2020, and it was one of the most ambitious as far as story goes. This is a very special game. It is a very divisive game, and you know, the argument of bad publicity is there's no such thing as bad publicity. I don't know about that. But that's not to say that this game doesn't have the credibility. It has the track record. It has the people who have played it who love the game. It doesn't do anything poorly from a gameplay perspective, and it doesn't do anything poorly from a visual perspective. Stories being divisive, I mean, most stories, a lot of stories are divisive. Look how many people hate all the new Star Wars movies or whatever. This is my pick for Game of the Year. I'm not really been secretive about that, but I have a very strong argument why it won't win Game of the Year, and that is it is too divisive, and there are too many people who hated it. For the life of me, I don't understand all the hate behind this game, but I could see that swaying voters to not vote for it for the sake of what would happen if it won. I don't think a lot of people would reject it. There would be a lot of controversy behind it. They would discredit the Game Awards, and while I think it's all bullshit and just kind of nonsense, I could see why voters could look at this and be like, all right, well, I don't know if I want to vote for Last of Us. I'm probably going to vote for Hades or Tsushima or Animal Crossing, and I understand that argument from their perspective. I don't agree with it, but I could see where they're coming from with that. But we'll see. There's a lot of weird perspectives with this game, and I think that doesn't help it, because if the original Last of Us came out now and compared to all these games and it didn't have the controversy, it would win it would win, you know, running away with it. So while I think those two games are right neck and neck as far as quality, with the first game being a little bit better, I think that the community is what would probably hold this game back from winning. So it'll be interesting to see. Well, those are my predictions. Please watch the Game Awards this Thursday. I will not be streaming it live. I will be recording it and post a reaction video later. I believe in watching the show as is. Watch it by yourself. Watch it with your friends online. I don't want to take away from your experience of the Game Awards filtered through my camera. Enjoy them for what they are. Watch them. Enjoy them. And I can't wait to have the discussion later when we see who wins and who loses. We'll have a video Friday for reactions. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and keep on gaming.